Hey there, Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here. Welcome to Fundamental Supersize Business Strategy number 9. Today we're talking about change. Change is inevitable. I don't know about you, but I figured out a long time ago that things were always going to change. Change is going to happen whether we want it to or not. Some things we can control. We can always control our response to change, but a lot of what happens around us, outside of us, and without our permission, if you can imagine that. So how do we deal with this? How do we use change? How do we embrace it? And by embrace, I mean use it to our advantage. Well, I'm going to share five ways you can do that, 5 strategies that have worked really, really well. I'll give you some case studies and examples of household name industries that we all know of, because those are ones that everybody can relate to no matter what industry we're in. And then I challenge you to start thinking about today. How flexible, how willing are you to change? How do you deal with change in your organization? We have a framework in the businesses I work for and with that we use called the SOAP framework. Up with it during the pandemic as a way to cope and continue moving forward. And it was a process we've already been using, and I've already been using for most of my life to deal with changes and challenges and setbacks and obstacles. But I just kind of made it more fun and formalized it into its own process system that's easy to remember, easy to apply. And if you repeat it often enough, you can install it in your subconscious, and then you do it automatically. You automatically get better results when faced with any challenge because you've got a process that on your subconscious level, you're running any change or challenge through, knowing exactly what to do, why to do it, and how to make sure that you're moving in the direction you want to move. So what are some of the ways, some of the strategies? I guess my question is, do you have a change problem-solving, decision-making strategy for your organization? I found the businesses that I work with that have one that the whole company uses are much more aligned and make quicker decisions because everybody uses the same process. It's a simple, easy thing to do. And again, there are different levels of complication depending on the type of problem that we're looking at. But if we have a simple one that we use most of the time, and then we go to, computer-aided machine learning type of solutions for more complicated things, depending on your industry. In engineering, in manufacturing, some of the problems you come across are a lot more complicated than applying the SOAP framework. But guess what? You can apply the SOAP framework to the overall process and use the tools as part of that. So I'm knocking things on the floor. I need a magnifying glass. Some days I do a write-up for our topic. Some days I don't. Yesterday I did a write-up for it, and so I will look at my notes. The first thing we want to do is cultivate a culture of adaptability. How flexible, how adaptable, how agile is your organization? It's just kind of a gut check if you're agile or not. If it takes you a long time to respond to changes or not. If your business went out of business during COVID-19, chances are you weren't flexible and adaptable enough to handle the craziness that happened in that time period. Secondly, we want to empower our people and our team with knowledge and all the tools that they need to solve problems, be solution focused, move forward, be agile, be quick about it, and get the results that we want. Third, we want to embrace technology as an ally, as a friend. A lot of people, I'm included sometimes in this, I love technology when it works, but when it doesn't, I get frustrated. Partly because my vision is bad, but partly because it's just frustrating. So how can we embrace technology and all that it brings, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and use it as an ally for our business? There's a lot of ways. So ask yourself that question today. Are we using technology to grow and build and supersize our business? And are we using the right technology? Are we bringing in the right resources? Fourth, we want to communicate with transparency. I think the companies that are the most fun to work with and get the best results are those that are themselves and show everybody authentically who they are. When they screw up, they admit it and they fix what mistake they made. When they do something well, they share that and keep doing more of it, right? But they're transparent about what they're here for, who they serve, why they serve them, how they serve them, etc. And then when something in the world changes, or there's a failure, or there's a need for a pivot, they let everybody know. If they don't keep it a secret, they let their vendors know if they've had a change. They let their other stakeholders know. Fifth, we want to foster a growth mindset. I guess I've been talking about this all year because this year's annual challenge is the Let's Grow annual challenge. So we are fostering a growth mindset in all the areas and aspects of a life framework that I use now. It's a 9-part one. It says 7 key areas, but it started out as 7 in the 80s, the 1980s. I started using this framework for my personal life and my own career development in the businesses that I was running and owning and operating. And then after the pandemic, come on, that impacted all of us in ways that we have yet to even figure out and imagine. But I added 2 more. I added communication and confidence to my goals, life-long legacy goals framework that I use. And I use it and I teach other people to use it too, because it's an incredibly powerful tool. And when we have a tool that works really well for us, we want to share it with everybody. It's like if you're in a network marketing company and you try a great product, you want to tell everybody. It's how we should feel about our business. If we don't, maybe we're in the wrong business. So let's talk about a couple of different case studies and a couple of different household names that everybody would know that have done a really good job of embracing change, knowing that or understanding early on in the process that it was inevitable. And if they didn't change and pivot and grow, they weren't going to exist anymore. The first one's in the retail sector, the retail industry, and of course, Walmart. I don't know, if you haven't heard of Walmart, I don't know what rock you're living under, because Walmarts are everywhere. And they learned pretty early on, thanks to Amazon, who was the first adopter of online shopping and retail hugeness, if that's a word, that they had better figure out how to be online as well, so that they weren't just a physical location, they were a physical and a digital seller. And it's really interesting. I really never shopped at Walmart online because I didn't know that they had a Walmart online. And with the pandemic, Walmart was open, but I wasn't going anywhere. So I didn't go to Walmart for several years, but they have done a really good job, just like Target. If you have Targets in your area, at least the one in my town does an incredible job of online ordering and pickup. And for me personally, being visually challenged, being able to order things and then just have somebody pick them up for me is awesome. So the retail sector has had to make a lot of adapting toward digital technology in the last few years, but Walmart's done an incredible job of it. And they've stayed competitive now with Amazon because they chose to embrace the technology, the change that was coming, whether they wanted it or not. And this is true for a lot of other businesses. And I think that the global pandemic just super speeded up the process of people having to either pivot and adopt. I hate the word pivot, and I'm using it all the time. The new technology and the new way of doing business and embrace it, or they didn't and don't. Many of them don't exist anymore. Millions of businesses went out of business during the pandemic. Technology wise, IBM, when I was growing up, IBM was copy machines and computers and things. And they learned that as cloud technology was coming into its own, they could either adopt and become a part of that, or they may not exist anymore. So IBM changed their focus and realized that they needed to adopt the new technology because it was coming, whether they got on board or not. And either they were going to be a provider of the systems and the technology that made it possible, or somebody else was going to do it for them. And they, of course, made the right decision and are still in business today. And finally, with respect to the green revolution, won't share my opinions on that, but Tesla, of course, is making and has made a huge impact on the automotive industry with the advent of hybrids and electric cars, and now these new crazy cyber trucks I'm seeing all around my little town. They have not only embraced that technology and other technologies and innovations, but they have led the field on that. And now other automotive industries or other automotive players in the industry are actually having to scramble to catch up and be competitive with Tesla. And some of them are saying, yep, we're not going to do that. And they're probably not going to exist in a decade. So love to know your take on change. I personally decided a long time ago that change was my friend, and it was always up to me to decide how I was going to respond to that, because no matter what, it was going to happen. And usually change happens without my permission. And so I'd better figure out how I'm going to respond to it and how I'm going to have a system for handling it. And I teach it to everybody in the organization so that we're all on the same page and we all like change, which makes us really fast, growth mindset, open-minded, a culture of innovation and adaptability. And that has served us extremely well. All right, that's it. Have an awesome day. I will, of course, be with you tomorrow for fundamental supersized business strategy number 10. Have a great day.